lofty research. Today, we decided, why don't we take a look at a couple of different models of concealed carry handgun.
Yeah.
Now, most of these we've actually had out on video before. Mm-hmm. And we've done an evaluation on pretty much everything except for this one, the High Point, by attempting to kick them out of battery.
Yeah.
We did an out-of-battery roundup. That was actually really interesting to see how these different guns handled it.
Yeah. Yeah, just some don't like to shoot in contact shots at all.
No. And some guns don't care, like the SP-101 that's a revolver.
Revolver's not going to matter.
Walther PPS. This thing it ran no matter what.
Yeah, it never did push out a battery.
Same for the CP here. Because this thing's gas delayed blowback, and it's got a fixed barrel, so it did very, very well.
Yeah.
And honestly, everything on this table is really valid options for a concealed carry handgun. So let's start with the smallest one and work our way up to the largest.
Okay. Well, let's start off then with the little tiny Ruger LCP.
Now this is the first gen, so no slide hold open on the last round.
Yep. You can lock it open manually, but that's more to take it apart than it is to do anything else.
And the second gen's actually a really good option because it comes with a pocket holster for it.
Yeah.
And a last round hold open.
And it fits the hand better.
Yeah, it's a more ergonomic design. Kind of something like this CCP or the Shield.
Yeah.
Now, next up on the list from small to large. Now, mind you, that LCP is a 380. Here's a larger 380, and this is kind of top of the line for 380 size. This is the Glock 42. And it is incredibly pleasant and very shootable. And as you notice here, it's a little pocket holster. This is, I think, the DeSantis Nemesis, or maybe the Superfly.
There's the Superfly.
I'm not really sure which one it is, but honestly, fantastic holster. Yeah. And the ability to just throw something like this inside your pocket is very low profile and super easy no matter what you're wearing. It's very rare for a guy to not have pockets big enough for this thing to slip in. You may think, oh, I don't have pockets big enough for that. It will honestly surprise you how many pockets it fits in.
Yeah, you probably can fit it into your pants and it just disappears.
Yeah, it's a really handy gun and a really handy carry option.
Yeah, and they shoot really well.
Yeah. Downside is it's only got 6 rounds in the magazine with 1 up the chamber for a total capacity of 7.
Yeah.
Which is not all that great. But you give up a little bit and you gain a little bit.
Yep.
Now next up in the size category, this Walther PPS. Now this thing will shoot. It's a heck of a gun. Really nice. Extremely thin. I think this is the thinnest 9mm on the market. Now this is the Gen 1 version. So magazine release is right here. Downside about that is when you have it in your holster, you can't drop the magazine at all.
Yeah.
But you also have the benefit of, I didn't accidentally drop my magazine while it's in the holster.
Yeah.
Which can happen with pretty much any of these. I've had that happen with the LC9 too many times. I've not actually had it happen ever with the Glock 42 yet. Or the 19 or the XDS. Those I haven't managed to do it, but that is one downside of here. And on the Gen 1, if this backstrap is removed, the gun will not fire.
Yeah.
So Gen 2s are on the market. They're cheaper than the Gen 1s were up until about a month before the Gen 2 launched. I think they run mid 300s to low 400s.
Yeah.
The Gen 2 PPS is a really good option, and most of the Gen 1 PPS holsters work with the Gen 2s. They're a more ergonomic, so kind of like what you get on the CCP style grip frame.
Yeah, they took the improved ergonomics to put on that gun.
Yeah, it really is an impressive carry weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Now, next up, we're going with a standard action here. This is the M&P Shield. This is pretty much the shortest barrel of any 9mm single stack there is. It's thicker than the PPS. Definitely a thicker gun. Not by a huge amount, but it is thicker. It has a decent capacity, and when you add that Plan B base pad for the extended magazine, it makes it very viable. Downside, you have no rail, nothing to attach a light or anything to the gun.
Yeah.
Now, this is one of the newer models that has no safety, no magazine disconnect, none of that stupid stuff. Or as I like to call it, the unfree state requirements. You do at least have a rail here on the PPS, which is something to be said. So, I think the next one we should probably talk about is the wheel gun, the Ruger SP-101.
Yes. Now this one is a 5-shot single action, double action revolver. So you can cock the hammer and you can just pull straight through. Has your cylinder release right there, hand eject. Now this is in 357 and 38.
It's 357 Magnum.
Yeah.
357 Magnum and 38 Special. Pretty much the only difference is the 357 is a little bit longer case and much higher pressures.
Yeah, it'll drive that bullet a lot faster.
Because in theory, you could load a 38 Special case up with a 357 loading, but they extended the case out a little bit so you couldn't accidentally run a 357 load through a 38 only gun.
Yeah, this one is actually built to handle the pressure, so...
And of course, it's normally advised if you're going to carry something like that you bob the hammer so it works in double action only. Otherwise, you could have that lawyer going.
Yeah. You cocked that, and then it had a very light single action. So did you really intend to shoot, or was it an accident?
Mm-hmm. Trying to get that lawyer money.
Yep.
Well, the lawyer wants the insurance money. That's the honest thing about it. If you're say using it for home defense, they want to be able to get your insurance to pay up on the millions of dollars.
Yep. But this is just barely small enough to fit into a pocket.
I wouldn't try it, but
you need big, deep pockets. But
very big.
It will mostly fit in some pants, but 357 is a really good cartridge for self-defense.
Yeah, or trying to see in the dark.
Yeah, but you do step down to just that 5 rounds.
Yeah, and honestly, with 357 Magnum, even out of a 6-inch barrel, I've seen 3-foot fireballs at night coming out of that thing.
Yeah.
It is blowing so much cartridge powder downrange. That's why lever action 357 is such a sought-after commodity.
Yeah. It takes advantage of everything that this is wasting out the barrel.
Very, very true. Now, as you'll notice, everything here is about 9mm.
Yep.
In terms of diameter. 380 is a 9mm diameter.
Yep.
38 special 357 Magnum is a little bit bigger in diameter, but not so much that you could really tell.
Yeah. Not so much that you can't have conversion cylinders for some 357s to shoot 9mm through them.
Which, that's one of the interesting things about the LCR. The 9mm is the same kind of pressure levels as the 357 Magnum. Yep. So when they built the LCR 9mm, they used the 357
cylinder.
Yeah, 357 cylinder, because it was needed for the pressure. So you don't gain any space savings by a reduced and cut down cylinder window, but it's pretty much the 357 gun with a different cylinder.
Yeah.
And actually, I have some 9mm bullets that are .357 diameter.
Yeah.
Where actual 357 bullets are 357 to 358 area.
Yeah.
So it's really, they are more or less the same size bullet. It's
pretty much.
It's really close. It's just You're talking a few 100 feet per second more out of one of those 357 Magnums. Much longer case.
Yeah.
But that's basically for safety reasons is why it's so much longer.
Yep.
Now, I think the next one we should talk about is going to be one of the last two single stack 9mm.
Uh-huh.
And that'll be the Walther CCP.
Yep.
Now, this is an integrated gas delayed blowback.
Yep. So, well, we can't really show it off easily, but there is a gas port from the barrel to a cylinder underneath of the barrel, so that when you fire the cartridge, it bleeds off gas to pressurize a little piston to slow down the slide to a safe velocity or safe opening velocity.
The major benefit you gain out of that is a much weaker recoil spring, so it's easier for somebody who has weak upper body strength to cock it.
Yeah.
I think we measured that about 8 pounds.
Yeah. It does not take very much to pull the slide back compared to one of these locked breech guns.
Yeah, something like this. 14 pounds.
Yeah. And this also does kind of self-compensate for some of the recoil on a defensive cartridge.
It does help.
Now, the downside on the CCP is that it has a manual safety on it, which, if it wasn't for that, I would probably be carrying this as a everyday carry, but I don't want to have to think about turning that safety off, so this one's a range toy.
Yeah, and next up we have the XDS here. This is a 4.0. Now, this is another one. It does have a rail. Now, one downside that some people will complain about is this grip safety. So in order for the gun to fire, this grip safety must be depressed fully, and then the trigger on a trigger safety must also be fully depressed for the gun to fire. Now, this added barrel length, so pretty much everything after that is what's added over the 3.3 inch. Really, the added sight radius helps in aiming, but it really helps in carry by extending that slide out, increasing the pressure over a longer distance. And it's just a really fantastic gun. It's got a nice trigger pull. Now, one thing it does have is right up here on top, it's got a chamber loaded indicator that sticks up. Now, it's not fully ambidextrous, but the magazine release does work on both sides of the gun simultaneously. Where with most of these, apart from the PPS, if you reverse it, you have to take it off of one side to put it on the opposite side of the gun. You can't do it from either side of the gun readily. So with this, I could literally use my thumb to remove the magazine, or I could use my index finger if I decided to come back and bam. It's one of the really handy things about this XDS. It's got a lot of really nice things, and the trigger is phenomenal. For a carry gun, it's a really nice, very smooth, crisp trigger. The downside is, which we found in our out battery testing, is as soon as it's pushed back at all, there's no contact between the sear and the striker. So any amount out of battery in this gun will not function. Which, stuff like this, PPS and several of the others, they will fire well out of battery. It's still an all-around pretty good gun.
Yeah. It shoots very accurately.
Yeah, and it is one of the higher priced guns here on this table. Even more so than the Glock 19, which we'll come up to in a minute. I think before we get to that, let's step up one level before we go all the way to the Glock 19. We have a Cig P320 here. Now, we are going to call it the P320 or the P250. About the difference is this is a striker fire, 250 is a hammer fire, double action.
Now this one is the compact slide on top of the subcompact frame. Because of the modular frame and fire control group, you can do a lot of mix and match of parts on the P320 and P250. And of course,
this is a Suarez modified slide in order to mount the RMR.
Yep, I sent the slide off to Suarez International for their RMR cut and put a Trigicon RMR onto it. Now, Matt has done review on the RMR.
Dual illumination.
Yeah, he has the tritium and fiber optic dual illuminated which has some pretty significant drawbacks in if you're in low light. The one I have on here is an electronic only, constant or with no level adjust, and I really have not had any of the trouble that Matt has had with his RMR with mine. So
you just have to take it off to get to the battery.
Yeah. You have to unmount it to change the battery, but that's a once a year thing, so it's a drawback, but one I'm willing to deal with.
Yeah. It's still a quest to find the right slide mount red dot, but we'll save that for another video.
Yep.
So, that is a really nice gun. It shoots well.
Yeah.
It's got a slightly higher bore axis than a Glock.
But the higher bore axis has really only meant that my split time is a little bit longer on this gun than it is on a Glock. And other than that, I don't ever see any difference.
And of course, the benefit is you can get smaller frames for that.
Yeah.
Where you can't for the Glock.
Yeah. I have small hands, and the Glocks don't fit me as well as the Cig does.
The only option you have on a Glock is if it's too big at its base level, you can go bigger.
Yeah. You can put more grip on.
That's why I like it. Because my hands are so big, I actually have to get a bigger grip on it.
Yeah. Yep. But with the 250 and the 320, I can just pull one pin out and take this whole grip off and put on a different size grip. And if I wanted to go crazy and take a soldering iron and do a home stipple job on that grip, the grip is not a serialized part like it is on the Glock. So I can take that and chop on it for a $30 part.
And of course, Cig now offers lower that has a built-in laser.
Yes.
As part of the lower.
Yeah. They extend down in front and built in a laser module.
It's actually not that far. It's just barely lower.
Yeah.
It's really neat. And of course, there are CAD files online so you can 3D print your own.
Yeah. That grip you can get and send off to Shapeways and have a 3D print made.
Now, of course, this is my primary carry gun, though I gotta admit that XDS is challenging it because it's so much thinner and lighter that honestly, when I'm in a non-permissive environment, I'm normally like, okay, I'm carrying the XDS and the 42. That's a decent amount of firepower. But then again, this in a 42 is pretty darn nice in itself. The Glock 19, I mean, what can't be said about it? This is a 4th gen, so it's got the back straps. It has the bigger magazine release. All in all, it's a very nice gun. And I've got thousands upon thousands of rounds through this thing reliably. And with that red dot on there, I can do pretty amazingly tight groups at distance.
Well, there's a reason that the Glock 19 is the default answer when someone asks what carry gun they should buy.
Oh yeah, especially when I can use this thing in competition and still be competitive with people who are running CZ Shadows.
Yeah.
It's more about the shooter than about the gun. It really is.
Yep. And the parts availability for Glocks and the aftermarket
is
so enormous, and there's so much stuff you can get to bolt onto that.
Especially since this is one of the guns that you can get from the factory that allows slide-mounted red dots.
Yeah.
There's not much that fits into the carry division that allows that at this time.
Yeah.
It's coming more. Trust me. When you look at how much this improves your shooting, the red dot is the change in the market. It's coming.
Yeah. But yeah, and the Glock MOS, you don't have to send your slide away for a 2-week modification to someone.
But you've only been able to buy MOS models for the last 2 years now.
Yeah.
So, if you have a Glock from before that, you can send it off to Suarez, what, $150?
$125. You can buy an entire new slide from Suarez for $150, I think. And then you don't have to even modify your existing slide.
Or you can buy them from Lone Wolf. Now, I think the last mention we're going to give to a gun here is going to be the one, the only, the Hi-Point 9 C9.
Yep.
Because if you have a budget and it's all you can afford, it's still a darn good weapon. I mean, look at what we have done on this channel trying to kill this thing. It still won't die.
These things are near invincible.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was writing when I decided to first start reloading, hey, I'm going to get a Hi-Point to test my reloads in, so I don't blow up my face.
It turns out that this wouldn't have blown up, no matter what mistake you made.
No matter. I don't know. I think that we can eventually find something to blow it up. I have faith. We're not giving up on destroying that gun.
No. We'll get it eventually.
I mean, we're not going to shove something down the barrel to create a deliberate obstruction besides what we did to test. Can you clear an obstruction with a charged case?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how a blank would work. Because it does have a lot more powder, and they upload blanks in order to cycle the action. What we did is we chose a minimum SAMI loading of a certain powder, and then made sure we put a piece of cardboard in to just compress that load so it stayed against the primer and didn't, fall away and accidentally cause detonation.
Yeah.
Which that's one thing you do have to worry about. Which is one we are planning to try and see. Can we download a case far enough we can literally cause a detonation?
Yeah.
The question is, do we need something that's a humongous case like a 357 Magnum?
Probably.
We'll definitely try that, and I'm pretty sure we got a 357 Magnum around we don't trust and are willing to sacrifice. But in all honesty, 357 Magnums and any revolver is a really kind of pricey gun.
Yeah.
Apart from the LCRs, there's not a cheap option. Even the Tauruses are running high $400, low $500 for a revolver. Mm-hmm. Revolvers aren't cheap. Yeah. So
it takes a lot of work to make one.
Yeah. I think we need to get a lot more comments on this video or another revolver video saying, hey, I want to see that. I want to see what happens. Can you destroy a revolver? We might be willing to do it if we get enough people asking. I mean, we do have revolvers that we're willing to put on the chopping block, but we need you, the listeners, to actually request it. So, like, comment, and definitely comment on this video. Say, I want to see that revolver destroyed. We got to have at least 500 people ask for it before we do it, because, 500 people, $1 a piece, that's about a revolver's cost.
Yeah.
Hey, you can do it, right? So, if you liked this content, seriously, give us a like, subscribe. We'll have more stuff coming. Yep. We're always got stuff coming. Even if we're not putting out a video every single week. That's because we're doing something behind the scenes to build more and better videos. Yep,
we're still working.
Yeah, we have so much stuff that is in progress right now. It's just, we have to get the weather to cooperate with us and our jobs to cooperate with us.
Yep.
I mean, I'm only working one job, but it's as management of that job. So it takes me a lot of time on that. I put in roughly 90 hours a week on that, plus the podcast, plus this.
Yeah.
And you're doing 2 jobs.
2 jobs and a young kid, so no time left, or very little time left over for this.
Yeah, but we're still putting as much time as we can manage into it, and when we have days when we get to the range, if the weather won't cooperate so we can film, kind of makes a problem. Yeah. But we can promise you there's more stuff coming. There's prototype guns coming.
Yep.
Mainly because, I mean, this guy works at a gun manufacturer.
Yeah, there's some really cool stuff that's almost done with development. And we'll be able to show it off soon.
And we will be the first people to actually have working footage of these firearms.
Yep.
And, of course, just tune in.
Yep.
Thanks for watching.